Let's now talk about the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Hectic negotiations for a possible ceasefire continue. Negotiators from the United States, Qatar, Egypt and Hamas are still in Cairo. The parties are trying to secure a 40-day truce. Hamas insists it wants a permanent end to Israeli aggression before it can start releasing hostages. The Palestinian militant group says it is continuing with its efforts despite the absence of Israeli negotiators. The deal, which has been presented to Hamas, includes release of some Israeli hostages in return for increased flow of aid into Gaza. It also requires Hamas to provide a list of all hostages held in the besieged enclave. But Hamas says this would not be possible without a ceasefire, with hostages scattered across the region. Over 253 people were abducted from Israel during the October 7th attack, and over 100 hostages still remain in Gaza. Hamas is demanding a complete withdrawal of Israeli forces and return of all Gazans forced out of their homes. It says after a temporary ceasefire, Israel would again resume the fighting. Hamas says it has presented their own draft deal and is awaiting a response from Israel. The U.S. revised the language in a draft United Nations Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire along with the release of all hostages. It also urges Israel to hasten the humanitarian catastrophe, hasten the aid to humanitarian aid into Gaza, excuse me for that, with many areas of Gaza still cut off from getting any aid. Threat of famine looms over Gaza. Some countries, including the US and Jordan, have been airdropping aid into the Strip. Gaza's health ministry says at least 18 people have died in a Gaza City hospital from dehydration and malnutrition. Meanwhile, the fighting persists in Gaza. Israeli army released video on Wednesday which showed airstrikes on various Hamas targets. Over 86 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours. The overall death toll has crossed 30,700 as per the Gazan health ministry. Unrest continues on Israel's northern border as well. A barrage of missiles coming from Lebanon were intercepted in northern Israel. Israeli forces and Hezbollah militants have engaged in skirmishes almost daily since the war began on the 7th of October. And for the latest, our correspondent Jody Cohen has sent us this report from Ra'anana, Israel.
President Biden called the deal that Hamas was offered rational and said that it's now in the hands of Hamas to respond. But according to media reports, Hamas appears to have rejected the truce proposal, which was accepted by Israel, and is demanding a permanent ceasefire. Now, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that negotiators are now seeking a days-long pause in the fighting. This would give negotiators more time to negotiate a 6-week pause in the fighting and could potentially enable more aid to enter Gaza, easing the difficulty of transporting aid across the Gaza Strip. It could also give Hamas an opportunity to increase trust by providing a list of which of the 134 Israeli hostages being held captive in Gaza are still alive. And it remains to be seen how this development would be received. This is Jody Cohen for WION World as One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.